Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. I heard people saying, sermon. I'm sorry, we ran over time. It's not my fault, they put me last. And that's a tough act to follow. About congratulations, she took a lot of awards home. As I was talking to the guys who told me back, he told me mine actually, they left it at Staples, so I'll be expecting it in the mail. With that being said, guys, today is an incredible day. I'll try to keep it short. You guys waited 4 years for a second album, right? You can wait, you can bear with me for 20 more minutes. Our YLTC choir worked effortlessly, night and night, and I know some of them, like after church on Sundays, they would stay together. There's times where I've called some of them at midnight, like just to check up on them, say, we haven't texted me. We all know we're still recording. So please, a round of applause for these incredible people. I tried to help, but for unknown reasons, they wouldn't allow me. I don't know why. I was just trying to give them a praiseful life. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, earlier, as he talked about Kadusiare, what it means is when it comes to spiritual hymns, spiritual songs. What I'm going to talk about is how that can apply into our day-to-day lives. As you got the history stuff, that's not my forte. I expect something from you. It's just, I'm going to be brutally honest, so I expect you guys to be brutally honest with yourselves. When talking about songs or hymns or something, what does it do? What are songs supposed to do? It's a way for you to express your emotions, right? Whether you're feeling high, there's happy songs. Whether you're feeling sad, there's sad songs. When you're in love, there's lovey-dovey songs. When you're going through a breakup, there's breakup songs. But all those different emotions are expressed through music, right? And the theme of keeping honest ourselves, most times than not, we turn to what? Worldly music to express those emotions, right? But the Apostle James tells us, if we are happy, let us sing. Is anyone cheerful? Let him sing songs. And that can be found in James chapter 5, verse 13. So, in all the times that we feel all these different emotions, we're actually supposed to be singing. Not worldly songs, but spiritual songs. And even biblically, I wanted to say something before we get into the biblical stories. I want this to be a staple of what we talk about today. Singing is an expression of a life that is filled with joy and contentment with God. I'm going to say it one more time. Singing is an expression of a life that is filled with joy and a contentment of God. So even biblically, there's a lot of stories where singing is shown as a means of praising, right? And we're going to talk about Moses. So if you look at Exodus chapter 15, you guys know the story of Moses, especially towards the latter end where they were getting chased by the Pharaoh's men, and they come across the Red Sea. What happens? Moses raises his staff, and what happens to the sea? Leaves. Okay. Parts, right? Parts, and after they go through the sea, what happens? It collapses on whom? The Egyptians or the Israelites? The Egyptians, thank you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew the story. I wasn't getting feedback. Now, when that happens, the first thing that they did was sing. The first thing that they did after it collapsed on them, they made it to the other side of the ground. The first thing that they did was sing. This tells you that, hey, praising is something that we can do through singing, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be just to get hyped, just to get happy, down, sad, or anything. It could be a means of praise, in whichever way, whichever emotion you're trying to express. Now, that was back then. That was in Moses' time. How does that relate to us, right? How does that relate to us? Now, I hope there's not a bunch of Egyptian soldiers chasing you guys. That you don't need praise, you need to run. But, and there are obstacles we face though, correct? There may be obstacles in school. For those of you that are in school, there's work, there's relationships, there's family conflict. There's a lot of things that we endure, that we've endured actually, I think everybody's subjected. I don't believe there's not anybody in this room that hasn't experienced any hardship. And after we make it through the hardships, just similarly like the Israelites did after they escaped the Egyptians, we need to be able to praise God by singing, right? We need to be able to praise Him by singing. Now, moving forward, there's more hurdles that we face, right? And now, I talked about how we should praise Him after we've endured some problems, right? Because everybody has problems. Show of hands if you have a problem. I see people raising like 2 hands all the way over there. I know, me too, right? So there are people, probably in this room, that are going through hardship right now. And I'm talking about there's people dealing with anxiety. People dealing with depression. There's people dealing with all types of problems, whether relationships, somebody just got through a breakup. Somebody just lost a loved one. There's people dealing with substance abuse. There's people dealing with addiction. There's people probably in the midst of us that are putting a smile on their face, but they're actually hurting inside. And how we can turn that praiseful life when it comes to using this song. So if you look at 1 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 23, says, whenever the evil spirit came on Saul, David would take up his lyre and play. Then the relief would come to Saul. He would feel better, and the evil spirit would leave him. And when he's this is when Saul, when they say lyre, he's talking about when he plays the harp for him. And biblically it tells you when you're enduring hardships, yes, there's sad songs. There's songs that maybe try to uplift you that are worldly. But the Bible is telling us that we can live a praiseful life even in hard times by singing and listening to these spiritual hymns. And I'm going to share a personal story. May 12, 2018. What is that date? Or for those of you that know, no YRTC members. May 12, 2018. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm mad that was somebody from Dallas that knew that. So, May 12, 2018, that was the first CD release, The Nation of the Cross. The first English Muslim that YRTC released, right? That day also happened to be one of my final exams. And this was a semester, it was my last semester at UMD. Shout out to all my church down in here. Yeah, all they said, okay, well, I'll see you. It was my last semester. And if you saw me that day, it looked like I would have been through, like, I would have had a jump. Because it was that long of a semester, there was family problems, there was a lot of things I was going through, and I was on the verge of failing my class. And if I don't fail, what happens? CU doesn't graduate, right? Now, I was in McKeldin, that's one of the libraries. May 11th, Friday night, of course I procrastinated. I'm going to the library to pull all-nighter, and I got like 3, 4, the little cans of Starbucks coffee to get me through. And because of the stuff I had on my mind, nothing was getting through. I tried to sit, study, nothing. I mean, I'm talking about nothing. I sat down for 2 hours trying to study. Nothing was going in. Then, you start worrying about, okay, what happens if I don't graduate? What happens if I fail? Then the thoughts start, snowballing. Maybe it's just me. Once a bad storm starts, the ball keeps rolling, snowballing into an avalanche. And then I started thinking, oh my God, my parents came to this country, I'm about to fail. My mind was going places that are the exam by the end of how I was thinking was at least some of my words. So it was midnight. And at midnight, I got a little notification on my phone. It said Nation of the Cross CD is now available. Because I had pre-ordered. And I was like, well, I got nothing to lose now. After this, there's nowhere to go but up, right? And one of my favorite songs, and for those of you that are close to me, you know this, I Can't Do It Alone. I'm that, that one be speaking to me. I opened the album, and I think it's like the 5th or the 6th one on the track, but for some reason, that was the first one I saw. I played it. I lied to you not. I wouldn't lie in front of Assis. I wouldn't lie in front of Abba. They weren't here maybe, but they are. It was such a calmness and comfort I felt when I heard that. All the anxiety that I was feeling, all the stress or whatever, for a brief moment, there was peace. And you start listening to the words, I can't do it alone. I can't. I really can't. I tried. I couldn't do it alone. But then hearing that song, that was I wonder, it was a rough night. And I got through. I didn't listen to any other song. I literally had that song on replay the entire night. Made it to my exam. I failed the exam, but no, I proceeded to get degrees, man. I passed the exam, and I am a proud graduate of UMD. But the point that I'm trying to get across is that was a rough night for me. And I've heard Muslims before, but it's always been when I was good, or when I'm at church. I was never down that bad for me to appreciate what the contributor did. The reason why I'm sharing this with you guys, whoever may be going through something, I'm speaking to you individually. I know this is for the masses, but hear me as an individual. There is comfort in the words of the hymns. There is comfort in the melodies that you hear. All the stuff that, as he said earlier, there is a reason why God speaks to us in different ways. I'm a person that loves music. Melodies, it speaks to me in a certain way. And it can do the same for you, just like it did with David and Saul. So now, I need to get a little interactive with you guys. I've been doing a lot of talking. Can you guys help me out? Who here is into poetry? Ain't no poetry? Oh, okay, we got a couple of people. All right, so I'm gonna recite a couple of poems that you guys may or may not know. And if you know it, just sing the next one. Okay? But collectively, I don't want to hear one person. I feel like these are poems you would know. Are you guys with me? It was all a dream. I used to read, word up? Magazine. Okay, so that is the famous poet, the late Christopher Wallace. First things first, rest in peace. Uncle Phil, for real. There's a very famous poet that goes by the name of Jermaine Cole. Hey, y'all want to go on? I got one more. I said, baby, I just don't get it. Do you enjoy being heard? I noticed you on the perfume? So you guys are into poetry, no? So just to let you guys know, this is being recorded as you know who you're, But, honestly, why do you guys know these poems? You gotta know how to do it, right? No, I'll answer since nobody is raising their hands. No, these are songs we have heard over and over and over and over again. I mean, you've heard it repeatedly, whether these are your cookout throwback night, or even you turn on the radio. These are songs we have heard many, many times, no? And because it's a song that you've heard many, many times, without even knowing it, you memorize the lyrics. Without paying attention, you know the next thing that comes. I didn't just sing the songs. I just said the poem, and your mind automatically knew where the following thing was. There was no melody in what I said. If there was melody, well, I said it earlier, I would have been in the YLTC choir, but I am not. So there was no melody. I just said the words. And this is to the power of consistency. Right? This is to speak for the power of something that will repeat over and over and over without knowing it becomes a part of us. So I ask you, what are the things that you're consistent with? Since we're talking about music today, what are the songs that you're consistent with? What are songs you listen to over and over and over? And like I said, it becomes a part of you. It becomes second nature, no? When I said the poem, the first thing that comes up, like people are like, oh, I know that one. It's from this and this and this and so on. It becomes a part of you. So what are you allowing to be a part of it? Is it a spiritual hymn that will enrich your soul? Or is it a worldly thing that is not as internal as the other one? So I will say keep that in mind. And just to add a couple more things, I'll tell you a little story of the first time I got a paycheck. Who remembers their first paycheck? Yeah, man, I don't forget. It was $193.82. Well, I was at the rec. I was happy. And that's 2 weeks worth of work. So they were paying me pennies on the dollar. And I hadn't set up my direct deposit, so I actually went and got a physical check. Right? Like I went to my supervisor's office and I was like, I'm here to pick up my check. And I was happy. I opened it, I was like, man, this is money I earned for the first time. I was so happy. And I was like, well, I'm about to go ball out at the near 7-Eleven. I was like, I don't even know what's coming our way. That was my thought process. And then I sat down, I was like, $193 for like a 17-year-old at that time. Woo! That was a lot of money. Now it's just well, how much you take to fill up gas. But that's a different story for a different day. But I didn't know what to do with that money. And I was like, this is my first check. You know what? I'm gonna put it towards it. I was like, $193. I got a mom, dad, 2 older sisters, and a younger brother. I was like, how am I going to get them all this with $193.82? So I ended up making it work. I got my dad some shirts, my mom like a very, very cheap perfume. My brother got a keychain. It was a gesture, not a money, but the money, like I think I had like $50 or whatever. Now, thinking about it, my parents, 2 beloved sisters, a wonderful younger brother. Did they need that from me? Yes? No? Did I have to get them those things? Is this something they're like, oh, this is your first check, so you make sure you get us this to get us this? No, right? It was something because I wanted to show them what they mean to me and how thankful I am. Right? Similarly, we're praising God, praising through singing. It's not something that God needs from us. Trust me, we are unworthy human beings. Like, we are scums of the earth when it comes to it, if you think about it. Because time and time again, God has told us, don't do this, and we keep doing it. So who are we to say, God, you need my praise? No, this is for us. Singing messengers, hymns, spiritual songs. It's not for him. God doesn't need anything from us. He is perfect in his own being. But these things is for us. It's a way to show how much we appreciate our God. It's a way to show how much we appreciate all the sacrifice that God has given us. And not taking anything for granted as well. It's not for him. When we stand and sing, it's not like God is like, oh, they're doing this for me. No, we're doing, it's not that he needs it. We need to do it for ourselves to show what he needs to us. And especially now more than ever, when it comes to spiritual songs, before we have an excuse, right? I don't understand this. I don't understand them hard as much. Now, bro, we are littered with English listeners that follow the same Yahweh melodies that our church we grew up with. We had YTC just did their second one. I know Xadia is here somewhere. She got a couple of albums. Ahadu Studios, there's Marvin Comes. I mean, YTC is far superior, but I'm not going to buy it. That's my choir. I stand by them regardless, you know? But there are so many resources out there for us to a point where we do not have an excuse. There's nothing else for us to say. The resources are out there. And with that being said, I want you guys to go buy some CDs. That is my time. Responsibility.